regarding gun violence. 77% of victims of gun violence are male, while 23% are female, and 82% of males are the shooters compared to 7% female. There is a large disparity between gun violence and race. An example is the large disparity between black and white victims. Those who are most likely to die from gun violence are those aged 15 to 24. According to Kaplan, poverty and inequality are contributing factors to gun homicides. Gun homicides in the U.S. are 25 times higher than the average of other high-income countries. The largest causes of gun violence deaths are from suicide, which make up 62%, and homicide, which make up 34%. Gun violence tends to be much higher in large urban areas of the United States. According to the Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence, the states with the weakest gun control laws have the highest firearm deaths. In addition, the states with the highest gun ownership also have the highest suicide death rates. Gun violence is much higher in the United States than other countries.
An increase of gun violence leads to an increase of public awareness of the gun violence issue. This increase leads to a strong research support of the new law. And this supports a universal background check before gun purchasing, but also has a delay. A universal gun background check would lead to a decrease in gun purchasing, also a delay, and an increase of gun purchasing will lead to an increase of gun violence. An increase of gun violence will lead to an increase of perceived need for the CDC violence research, which will lead to an increase of funding for the CDC research, and an increase of promoting new gun violence policy, both with delays. Promoting new gun violence policy will lead to a decrease in gun violence.
An increase in gun violence will lead to an increase in mass shooting occurrings, which will also lead to an increase of mass shooting occurrings will lead to an increase of support for research fundings. An increase of that will lead to an increase of implementing policy with a delay in time, and an increase in implementing policy will lead to an increase of banning all assault weapons, and there's also a delay in that, and that banning all assault weapons will lead to an increase of that will lead to a decrease in gun violence.
An increase in gun violence would have an increase in support for licensing law, and that would also cause an increase for implementing this license law. And then that would cause an increase in fees, tests, exams, and there'd be time to register for a gun purchase. And that would cause a negative impact for gun purchasing, which would cause an increase in gun violence.
In conclusion, these four policies, if implemented, would help reduce gun violence.